Hey trainers, Poke Dad here along with the Dancing Bear at first base.
KK should 128.
And today we're going to do a deck profile of the Rayquaza deck that we've been featuring the past 7 or 8 episodes, something like that.
So, 11 episodes.
Well, the first couple were different matchups. And then we started focusing on Rayquaza versus the field. So we're going to run over the profile and then we're going to do kind of a matchup analysis on kind of where it lands in the metagame based on our testing. Would you say we've put in well over 50 games with this list?
Yeah, pretty much.
So maybe 50, closer to 60 around there. So we kind of have an idea of which direction this deck's going to go for the meta for Worlds. So anywho, let's hop into it.
Alright, starting it off. Of course, 4 Rayquazas. 3 Tapu Leles, 1 Tapu Koko, and 1 Latios.
Okay, so
Latios. I don't know.
4 Rayquazas, super important to get all of them in case you accidentally discard one. You want to. That's what feeds the monster here. And for those of you that don't know what it does, for its ability when you play from your hand to the bench, discard the top 3. And if you do, you can attach an energy from your discard pile. It does not have to be one of the top 3. Its attack, grass, lightning, colorless, 30 times the number of basic grass and lightning in play. So think Darkrai, but with a damage boost, and it counts grass and lightning.
Is it on this side of the field or?
On yours.
Okay.
And then GX attack for a single grass, discard your hand, draw 10. So definitely get you out of a awkward situation. That's actually ideal play if it's in the active and you just have 1 grass attached, then to just make that play and just dig through your deck that faster, especially if you have energy that you can discard with the GX attack, works really good. 3 Lele for consistency. You're going to be wanting to use Lele to grab a Guzma or Sycamore a lot of the time. You will be up on prizes, so you won't be looking to grab in or anything like that. You're not going to play Bridget in this deck or anything like that. It's pretty much Lele for Sycamore 9 times out of 10.
It's also not that bad of a starter, because then you can get more Rayquazas on the field.
1 Tapu Koko GX. That's kind of a tech. If you need to get a nice quick one-shot, use its GX attack. If you haven't used Rayquazas, he's not weak to fighting, so that's good, but it's still kind of risky dropping him. He's squishy, 170, so is Lele against these fighting decks, but for the most part, I mean, he definitely has use. It's kind of weary of just playing the 1 because of Rayquaza's ability, discarding 3 off the top, and that kind of leads us into our Prism Star, the Latios, that for a single colorless, 30, and then attach a basic energy to all your Dragon type Pokemon that's on your bench. And they have to be basic. They cannot be evolved Dragon type. So attach grass or lightning to all of your Quazzas. So super good. What we've found in our testing, it's actually better to go ahead and grab Latios before you start grabbing Rayquazas, because you do not want to discard him by accident, since you have no way of getting it back since it's a Prism Star. It would be nice to have another non-GX or EX 2 prize attacker that's able to get some knockouts, but we haven't been able to find the right one yet. We're still trying to hunt for a grass or lightning 1 prize attacker to tech into the deck, but then you run into the problem of Rayquaza may discard it, but we run rescue stretchers and stuff like that to get them back. We just haven't found the right partner for a nice 1 prize attacker. So we're still in the hunt. This list is not 100% complete. It's not teched out in any way. It's very generic, very consistent. Okay, we don't really have text for certain matchups. We haven't gone that direction. From our testing, we like to hit Buzzwole and Malamar and kind of go from there. If we have positive matchups against those two decks, then we move forward with our testing. And this deck obviously had positive matchups against those. So, anything else on the Pokemon?
It sucks to start with Tapu Koko active.
Yeah.
Because it wastes its ability and it's kind of a dead card. So, it's a little risky to play.
So far, it is a definite consideration for Worlds. So, once we get through the other considerations, or the new archetypes, then we can start really diving into the deck on what we need to add or take out. But for now, this list is super consistent, and that's what we were going for with our testing. So go ahead.
4 Mysterious Treasures. 4 Max Elixirs. 3 Ultra Balls. 3 Fighting Fury Belts. 2 Float Stones. 2 Field Blowers, 2 Rescue Stretchers, and 1 Palpad.
Okay. Elixirs, you've seen in our testing that there's games where, Caden's able to get, 5 or 6 energy into play on turn 1 or turn 2. So, self-explanatory. As far as we're concerned, there's no debate over playing the Max Elixir engine over Vikavolt. Like I've already discussed, when you discard 3 off the top, if you end up discarding one of your Vikavolts or your Rare Candy, that makes it just less of a chance for you to obtain those resources later in the game. So we're not a fan of the Vikavolt. Plus it being weak to fighting, it's probably going to get chased down anyways, so... 4 Mysterious Treasure, so much value. You can grab the 3 Lele, you can grab the 4 Rayquaza, you can grab the Prism Star. The only thing you really can't grab is the Coco.
Yep, that's what the 3 Ultra Balls are for.
So 3 Ultra Balls, it can, it's another shape to get energy in the discard. Same with Ultra Ball, it can grab your Coco and discard energy.
And adds consistency.
So, we like the 4-3 split. We would not change that one bit, correct?
Yep.
This would not change. 4 Max Elixir would not change. So the stuff 100% would go in a Rayquaza deck right there. 3 Fighting Fury Belt. We like 3. 2's way too low. It'd be nice to have a 4th.
4th would be pretty good.
So this is kind of on the fringe.
Would like more, but definitely at least 3.
2 Float Stones. How do we feel about that?
3rd would be nice, but it's okay. The 2.
So 3rd. Now, let's get into the Field Blower. I'm not exactly sure, especially from our testing, what exactly are we concerned with that we need a Field Blower, because
Parallel City doesn't affect it.
Parallel City doesn't slow it down. Garbotoxin, we saw from the matchups, Garbodor does not slow it down. The Buzzgarb decks will be playing Fighting Fury Belt, but as you've seen from the testing, it's able to hit 270. So if Buzzwole has a Fighting Fury Belt, not an issue there whatsoever. So I'm not seeing any value in the Field Blower.
The only thing I can think of is the Mirror Match, and if they have a Fighting Fury Belt on theirs.
So...
Or if you add another Fighting Fury Belt, you can...
So as of right now, I think the 2 Field Blowers could definitely be cut.
Yeah.
2 Rescue Stretchers, I really like them.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to go down to 1.
In case you discard it and the Pokemon that you need.
And as far as Super Rod over Stretcher, like 1 Super Rod or 1 Stretcher, I still don't like that either. Because let's say you shuffle some energy and some Rayquazas back in, and then you play a Rayquaza, and then you discard that Rayquaza and some energy that you just shuffled in with Super Rod. Not a fan of the Super Rod. I would rather have Rescue Stretcher. Where are you at on that?
I think a Rescue Stretcher could be nice late game for when you run out of a couple of energies and you just have no way to get them back, that's when the Super Rod would come in handy. But other than that, Rescue Stretcher is definitely the way to go.
Pal Pad. I like the Pal Pad.
Yeah, because you're discarding so many supporters, Sycamores and its ability, GX.
You know, a lot of people think, you know, these Zoroark decks, you can just really thin down your deck. But there was times in my Zoroark deck, it was still like probably half full, and you were down to maybe 12 to 15 cards in your deck. It was like your stack was like that high, and mine was still up here. So a second one would not be bad.
No, it would not.
So I mean, so far, the 2 field blowers are the most optional spot so far that we've gotten into, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
them and the Coco.
But you said you've had some success with Coco.
Yeah, I like the GX.
That would not be one of your first choices on cutting.
Alright, going into supporters, you have 4 Professor Sycamores, 4 Guzmas, 3 Cynthias, 3 Ends, and then 2 Devoured Field.
Okay. 4 Sycamore, not going anywhere. 4 Guzma, not going anywhere. And then we're left with this. You're ahead of the prize trade most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I could actually see that going down to 2.
You could even add a Pal Pad.
And I'm okay with the 3 Cynthia. So I think this is an optional spot, the 3rd in. And Devoured Field, I like it.
It's good for hitting the 200 against Espeon.
The numbers add up, so there is a lot of value with the Devoured Field. And as you saw, but it can hurt you, because remember you saw that I was able to hit the 130 on the Prism Star with Zoroark. Yep. So I think you have to be kind of cautious of when you put it down. So I'm not 100% on the Devoured Field, so that's something we need to really take a closer look at. If it might be better just to go no stadium.
Yep.
So.
What would we add for the Devoured Field?
You know, I mean, it just depends on how aggressive we want to go. If we want to do like a couple Acrobike, 3 Acrobikes or something like that, or another Pal Pad. I'm saying that so far, I think there's 3 spots here, and then the 2 field blowers. So I think there's 5 spots available. Yeah. And one of them I would like to at least try to find another attacker that's not 2 prizes.
Yep.
So I think that spot, and that leaves us with 4 spots.
I don't know if there is one though.
But I definitely would not go less than the 2 in, would not go less than 3 Cynthia, and certainly these are 4 and 4. So that's the supporter and the stadium.
Stadium.
And then last but not least, energy.
Super awkward with the 7 and 7 energies.
7 and 7. Caden never once had a single issue with energy, getting it into play.
Time.
So I mean,
only 1.
14 seems like a really good starting point, and you could slowly take 1 lightning away and see how it works. I think I would take a grass away first, because Coco needs lightning and all that. So I think I would start slowly taking an energy away here.
30 less potential damage.
And see how it does. Because you're going to end up needing text for other matchups and stuff. So maybe start here and see if there's an issue with the energy, if you're still hitting your max elixirs. And if you're still finding energy no problem, then you could do that. I don't think I would go less than 12. But I could definitely see just running 12 with the build.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something we're going to have to dive in deeper with. But for right now, 14 is the perfect number. And like I said, we've been going straight consistency, not any text or anything like that. So we know the deck's can function, and that's why we left it super consistent. And now, moving on after we get to the final testing stages, when we really start tweaking and figuring out exactly what the deck is capable of, pushing it to its limit. So, that's what we got. Now, let's talk about the matchups real quick. You played the deck. I didn't. So, I was on the opposite side looking at it. And first matchup, Buzzwole Lycanroc. It's one of the most popular decks right now. It's the BDIF, honestly. It's the best decks with the 4 Baby Buzz, the 1 GX.
It's Regirock's coming.
It's the deck to beat. So, how do you feel about that matchup?
I think it outspeeds it.
From what I've seen, and I've gotten pretty good with the Buzzwole deck since I've had to play it like 200 times. The Rayquaza punches it right in the mouth. I mean, it's crazy to sit here and say that fighting is too slow. But I mean, I'm telling you right now, the fighting is too slow for the Rayquaza. So.
Yeah.
Next matchup, Malamar. And we've been testing against the one prize attacker Malamar builds. So how do you feel about that matchup?
I think the matchup went good. And in the testing, it really proved to be able to beat it.
Yeah, I mean, you being able to chase down the Dawnwings and one-shot them, once you do that, then you can just chase down Malamars and really limit what I was able to do. So that matchup, I think, is more heavily favored on Rayquaza than, say, like the Buzzwole matchup. I think you destroy Buzzwole, but I think you destroy Malamar even more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the third most popular deck, Zoroark. Paw Patrol. Zoroark.
Bad matchup. It's just when they're taking in the Sylveons that are able to one-shot you with a DC choice band and that's it. It's rough. And that's taking away 90 damage for your next Rayquaza to do.
That's where the Rayquaza deck's going to struggle, is these decks that are able to one-shot Rayquaza. Because not only is it getting prizes, but it's also reducing your damage significantly. And when you have the Sylveon and the Lycanroc...
Yeah, the GX attack also.
That's too much to overcome, honestly. The Dangerous Rogue and the Sylveon. I think that's a very bad matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of your worst. I would say it's like 75-25.
I think it's the second worst matchup that you can find.
Or like 70-30.
It's bad.
Okay, so...
It's real rough.
The fourth most popular deck, probably Zoropod.
2 shots to 1 shots. Glisspod can't really handle the 1 shots, but if it's a 2 shot and keep exchanging 2 shots, then Glisspod's gonna win that. But it can't deal with the 1 shots.
The matchup went how I kind of played it out in my head, that if Glisspod is not able to answer Rayquaza's first knockout with a matching knockout, then that damage, the energy stays on the board and it's just going to stack. And right now, I don't see any way Glisspod can one-shot it unless they Grass, DCE, and Choice Band and use their Crossing Cut GX to hit the 180. And even then, that puts you very limited damage output to 120 or 100 with Armor Press.
150.
And Rayquaza has proven that late game, it can come out of nowhere and get a whole bunch of energy.
Yeah, just stack 6 energies out of nowhere.
I mean, I think it's one of the easiest matchups for Rayquaza, actually. When I was playing Pod, I didn't get anywhere close to winning a matchup.
What, the most prize you've taken is 2?
I think I took 2 prizes in 2 games.
Yeah.
So, I think it's probably the worst matchup.
For Glow Squad.
Yeah. I would, if I had to rank them, I would say Pod, Malamar, Buzzrock, in that order of weakest to strongest matchup, or less weakest. Another deck, Buzzgarb. Now, we tested the Schultz list that ran Rainbow and Trashlanch, along with the regular Garbotoxin. We didn't try the American list that ran like order pads and stuff like that. We did not test against that version. But the version we tested against, Schultz version, it seemed clunky and slow. And, you know, a deck like that is built to slow down your opponents with Garbotoxin. But Garbotoxin coming online, it doesn't matter once you get the ball rolling with Rayquaza.
They've already used their abilities. What do they need them?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, especially if you go second.
Oh, gosh.
If you give Rayquaza 2 turns to use their abilities to get all that energy out, you might as well scoop. I mean, that comes down to, if you want a chance to even get close in the matchup, you have to win the coin toss. It's a bad matchup. It's not as bad as regular Buzzwole, but it's still really bad. Let's go with Espeon Garb.
Oh, terrible matchup for the Rayquaza.
It was kind of the surprise, you know.
Confusion hurts.
We thought it would be too slow, and we actually went and made some changes, and we weren't playing the Mysterious Treasure, and so we added those in, and it's even faster and more powerful now than it was, and Rayquaza is going to lose that. If they go first, I think the reason why Caden won the one game he did is because I prized my second Espeon, and that game I also focused on the Garbotoxin lock.
Yep, Garbotoxin doesn't do anything.
And it didn't affect him at all. And so going into it, the final game, I just focused on Trashlanch and the Espeon, and it was super easy to win.
I think what hurts most is you have a really good early game attacker, and to do 30 in Confusion, I have to find a way to get out of that and have another attacker to put up if I'm playing Guzma or a Floatstone. I have to find a way to deal with Confusion, and that's pretty hard with this deck. And then you have Trashlanch when I'm playing 13 items in the discard and I'm trying to hold back from using all of them. You can't really resist Rayquaza. You have to play your items.
So, would you say that matchup? Or let's continue here. Zorogarb.
I think that is the worst matchup for the Rayquaza player. Just Trashlanch hurts, and if you have no way to deal with it, it steamrolls through everything you got. That may be the only prize you take, and then they put up another Trashlanch, and then they sweep the game.
The newer list, like Frank Diaz's list, has cut the second Garbotoxin for the third Trashlanch, and that's definitely the route to go, is having 3 of the Trashlanch and 1 Garbotoxin. And when you add in like the Mallow plus text like a Sylveon or something, or if you're playing Rainbow, then you can tech in the
Tapu Lele.
Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele worked out better See, I would rank them like this. I would rank them Sylveon EX, Tapu Lele, and then Dedenne. I did not like the Dedenne.
I think it's too much. When
You
can just use
Coco,
Sylveon and do the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll probably catch hell from it from our viewers and people on Fonte and all that. But I like Sylveon EX first.
I
and
agree.
You know what? A lot of those people on probably Fonte and maybe even our listeners haven't tested as much as us. Not to say that they haven't, but if they haven't tested the matchup like we have, then they would know. They would know better. So, Zorgob, I agree, is a terrible matchup. So, we basically have, and that's it, right, of all the matchups?
Yeah.
Okay, so Zorogarb, absolute worst matchup. That's an auto loss.
Mm-hmm.
Espeon Garb, pretty much an auto loss. Zoroark, 65-35, 70-30, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough matchup. And then you have from there, that's your only 3 bad matchups, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So then you have all the good matchups, which is the popular stuff, other than Zoroark, Zoropod, Buzzwole Lycanroc, Malamar, all super winnable, right?
Yeah, I do think they're super winnable.
And then the fringe stuff like Buzzgarb, stuff like that, is still winnable. So against the current meta, you beat 2 of the 3 most popular. Zoroark being the 3rd most popular.
Yeah.
So, and then if you want to throw Zoropod in as one of the popular 2, so I think it definitely has a place going into Worlds.
So if you think the Rayquaza is going to be super popular, do you still think that Zorgulspot is the safe play?
If you take out the Dedenne and the Coco, then it could be a safe play. Because, I mean, Pablo and them have proven that adding 2 Mew EX plus the Latios can deal with Buzz efficiently. 2 Mew EX and the Latios.
That's a lot to add, though. 2 Mew, Latios, there's Sylveon.
That's the thing, is he went into the Mexico tournaments expecting to play a ton of Buzzwole, and he did, and he had those 3 techs for it. So if you go into Worlds thinking that a lot of people are going to play Rayquaza, then you're going to tech for it.
What if you think a lot of people are playing Buzzwole too?
Well, you can't tech to win against everything. You have to choose.
That's a scary choice.
So, but anywho, that's all we got, right?
I think it is.
I think we definitely feel Rayquaza's a viable option going into Worlds. So, I think we've decided we're going to test Sceptile Lurantis next, because we have concerns with Metagross against Buzzwole.
Yeah.
I don't think decks that easily one-shot Metagross, I think Metagross takes a loss. Decks that can't one-shot the 170, I think Metagross is going to run them over.
And Rayquaza is also probably going to be a really hard matchup for it.
So, we're going to take a look at Sceptile Lurantis against Buzzwole tomorrow night. Actually, no, tomorrow we're going to do a Intercontinental meta forecast on what we feel like the play is.
Yeah, so stay tuned to listen to that. We can do it tomorrow.
So, that's all we got for now. So, be excellent to each other.
Party on, dudes.